Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaming Lounge Podcast, episode 49. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and as always, I'm joined by Dory. How's everything going, Dory, on this WrestleMania day?
Hello, it is WrestleMania, and for better or worse, I'm deciding to still watch WWE despite their horrific PR week for anyone who pays attention to that. But more importantly, we're here to talk about video games, and specifically, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of news. Star Wars Celebration happened, so we're going to talk about Zero Company getting announced. Cronos: The New Dawn had a gameplay reveal trailer. We're also going to have some spotlights. Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then Seb and I are also going to talk about Lost Records Tape 2, which just came out, and Seb and I beat it within days of it coming out because it's pretty short. So we got all that and more coming up this week. We'll probably go pretty fast because there's a lot of news, but not a lot of in-depth stuff to talk about. But first off, we're going to start with Nintendo pre-orders starting on April 24th.
Yeah, so we finally got some news about the pre-orders in the United States, and I assume Canada as well is going to be about the same day. But in the U.S., pre-orders finally open on April 24th. We've been waiting for the news on this. We were speculating that it was going to be more expensive because of the tariff news, even though he paused it. We're still expecting it to go up. Things did go up, but not the console itself, and the games are the same price as well. But we'll talk about that. All right, so starting with the console itself, it's going to remain at $450 or $500 if you want the Mario Kart bundle. That's what I'm going to buy just to save $30 on Mario Kart, which is like really the only big launch game for me. Donkey Kong comes out soon, but it's like a month after. So anyway, it's $450 plus, or it's $500 if you buy the game. Pricing for both physical and digital versions of Mario Kart World are going to be $80. And the price of Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be $70, which is what we already knew from the reveal. So that hasn't changed at all. I strongly recommend, if you can, to get the bundle. But unfortunately, it's going to be probably harder to get the bundle if you can't get that. Or if you wait, you're probably going to have to buy Mario Kart for $80. So it's just, Nintendo knows that, and you're going to have to bite the bullet, I guess. Unfortunately, we'll talk about the Mario Kart Direct after this, but yeah, it's gonna be $80 game. Nintendo Switch accessories, however, are increasing in price. The accessories will be going up like $5 to $10 each, as we'll talk about. They said, this is from their website exactly. However, Nintendo Switch accessories will experience price adjustments from those announced on April 2nd due to changes in market conditions, the tariffs. Other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future depending on market conditions. They said, "We apologize for the retail pre-order delay and hope this reduces some of the uncertainty our customers may be experiencing. We thank our customers for their patience and we share their excitement and to experience Nintendo Switch 2 starting June 5th, 2025. So the main thing that people got out of this was the Pro Controller is now $85 for the Switch 2, and Joy-Cons are $95 now instead of $90. That was those are like the main things people noticed that went up. Although like the screen protector is $40 and the carrying case is like $85 and the express card is $60. Now the carrying case and the screen protector you can get like $8, $10 on Amazon from a different company. It doesn't have to be from Nintendo. Don't buy a product just because it says Nintendo on it. Even the micro SD, they'll slap their logo on the card, and they'll charge way more than a regular one. Just get a regular one because it's gonna be in the Switch anyway. So what is seeing the logo gonna do? If it's gonna be in the Switch, you're never gonna see it. Like, it's just no point in buying that. So I feel like the accessories going up is not really an issue, even though it sucks, is because it can largely be ignored. I've never been a person that has to buy every accessory when things come out anyway. First of all, the Pro Controller, I already own a Pro Controller, and the first, like from the Switch 1, and it's pretty much the same, minus like back buttons. And the carrying case you can get like at GameStop or Best Buy or something, Amazon cheaper. You and the screen protector is like $8 on Amazon. So I don't. It's really avoidable. I think the big problem for me is the $80 game more than anything else out of this. And I'll definitely buy an Express card, but it might not be from them necessarily. But we'll see. Dory, well, you're not getting the Switch 2, but how do you feel about this news in terms of like the
Yeah, I
prices?
mean, yeah. To me, it's not great. Uh, it's better than I suppose the worst case, which is that they either cancel pre-orders altogether,
Yeah.
or that the Switch somehow goes up in price to reflect what's going on in the world right now. So at least they didn't do that. And you're right that a lot of this side stuff can just be skipped. When I've had my Switch for years and years and years, the only thing I ever got was a case, and I've never even really used that because I mostly play my Switch at home when I do ever play it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a huge deal to bump those up by 510. It's not great, and I don't like it. I'm not going to justify it or excuse it,
Yeah.
but it's better than I guess some of the other worse alternatives. I am still not interested in the Switch 2. I've never bought a micro SD card for my Switch. I just uninstall stuff when I'm done with it. I don't need a bunch of games on mine. I know there are some people who like to play a bunch of games at once, or maybe you've got some sort of niche situation where you're getting paid, or I don't know, maybe you just like having a lot of games on your system at once just so you have a lot of options. But
Yeah.
for me, it's just like, generally speaking, there are some exceptions, but generally speaking, if I'm done with a game, I uninstall it, especially if
Mhm.
it takes up a lot of room.
Yeah.
There's some games like Hades that I'd go back to every now and then, or Pokemon or something like that, but generally if I'm done, I uninstall it, and that saves a lot of room on my Switch. So I never saw a need for the micro SDs.
Yeah.
The carrying cases are cool, but again, I never really used it. It's nice that they're giving a screen protector, but $40 for that, and the carrying case is a lot. Even if I was buying a Switch 2, there's no way I get the camera. I don't care about that, or the wheel set, the strap. The only thing maybe I would buy, which I'm not buying for $85, is the Pro controller, because the Switch Pro controller is infamously pretty great, or famously pretty great, I should say.
Yeah.
So that would be the only one I'd be even remotely tempted, and I still wouldn't, because $85 for a controller is outrageous. I know we're not in the days of old where we could get controllers for like $50, $40, but yeah, like Seb says, just buy off-brand stuff. You don't need to you don't need to pay or spend. I was saying, pay or buy any kind of controller just because it has official licensed by Nintendo merchandise or whatever. There's really no need. Plenty of third-party people will sell it for cheaper, and they'll be just as good, if not better. So that's my advice, which was pretty much Seb's. So I'm just backing him up there. But yeah, I don't know. It's not great, but it's not as bad as it could be, and I guess that's as good as we could have hoped.
Yeah, I have the 8-bit Doe controllers, and they're fantastic, and they have the back buttons, and they actually have Hall effect that the Switch doesn't. Cause that's one of my concerns for the Switch too, is they did not do Hall effect on the Joy Cons, and are we gonna have a drifting problem again for $90 controllers? So that's my concern. Although one thing I'm doing different this time is the Switch was my main handheld for a long time until the Steam Deck, and I played my Switch mainly in handheld mode most of the time. But now that my Steam Deck is still my main handheld that I carry around just to work and stuff, I'm not going to. My Switch is going to be mainly a console that's going to stay home, so I don't really need to buy all the accessories. The only thing I need to buy would be the Express card, the micro SD. But even then, like the reason I think it's strongly worth it for like a Steam Deck is that you have a lot of emulators and multiplayer games like Diablo and stuff that I want to play those, but I have to keep downloading them every time I want to play it. I don't really play multiplayer games on the Switch that much, but I guess if I wanted to play like Splatoon or something and wanted to keep it on there with Mario and Zelda and stuff that were like long games, I want to play multiple things at the same time, then hey, I don't mind spending the money. I mean, it's a one-time thing. It's gonna last you like 7 years, so I think it's a worthy investment. Really, all you really need to buy, I guess, is the screen protector, a controller if you really want the controller, and a carrying case if you carry it around with you. But otherwise, A lot of this stuff can be largely skipped. All right. So moving on to the Mario Kart Direct that we got, it was like 15 minutes. The main thing more than anything else was that it's Mario Kart. It didn't really show us anything phenomenally new that we didn't know. Like a lot of people, the general consensus was that this easily could have been in the Switch Direct that we got when they showed the console off, because
Yeah.
they didn't really show anything new. But it does look like a good game. It actually looks like arguably the best Mario Kart game to this date. It looks like the next advancement in the Mario Kart. Like it took a next generation Mario Kart. Does that justify it being $80? No, but it definitely looks like a really good game. It looks like a quality next generation Mario Kart. So they gave us gameplay and the courses. They showed the open world design. There's reimagined classic and tracks, and there's like all new tracks as well. They had some things like Mario Brothers Circuit, Crown City, Peach Beach, Boost Cinema, and more. A lot of them were really cool looking. Really, I love the themes. Awesome design. Mario Kart always has great level design, so it's fully expected. They said there's classic tracks adapted into the open world, so they grabbed classic tracks and made it bigger. There's 24 racers in the races, which is the most ever in a Mario Kart. That's a lot of people in a race. There's playable characters. They show all the characters off that you can play as. The main thing, obviously, Mario characters, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, so on and so forth. The baby Mario, baby Luigi. Of course, you had all the villains as well. You had King Boo, the Mole, the Wiggler, Goombas, and so on. So they showed off all the characters. I'm sure they'll add. I'm gonna assume they're gonna add more as well in the future. They showed off the new mechanics. There's a charge jump where you can dodge attacks. There's a wall ride that's new to the series where you can basically grind on the walls and do crazy tricks and things like that. That looks like a really fun thing. But
Yeah, you can like reverse time too if you mess up a trick. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but apparently Forza does a similar thing and it doesn't really break anything. So
yeah, so the new thing, pretty much the only new thing they showed at this direct was that there's a rewind feature now where you can retry stunts, or if you want to explore secrets around the open world, there's a rewind button to go back and do it. And then there's also dash food where you collect unlockable outfits. The outfits were really cool. Like I think that was a really cool thing. Though it's basically like Forza Horizon, but Mario Kart. Like there's a big open world and you kind of just drive around and explore things. They have the Grand Prix as usual. They have the time trials. They have the balloon battle, the coin runner. The new thing was they have a knockout tour and a free roam mode for casual exploration. You can take photos and you can practice in the open world. They said there's up to 4-player local split screen mode. So you can play 4 players local split screen mode, normal stuff. And of course you have up to 24-player online multiplayer, which is the most ever in a Mario Kart. And they have the game chat and webcam integration for social play if you care about having the camera and all that. Obviously, I'm not going to get into that. Like I'm not going to use that. Mario Kart for me is always more of a thing I bring in for my students, or like when I have friends over, or go over someone's house. It's like a party game in my opinion. It's not something I like go out of my way to go online and play with other people like that. I might do that here and there, like if I'm in the mood to race 1 or 2 times, but otherwise, it's not really. I'm not a hardcore Mario Kart person. So as we talked about, the price, the game is $80. The Switch 2 being $450, so that'd be $530 if you buy them without the bundle. If you buy with the console, as a bundle, it's $500. So you'd be saving $30. So you're better off getting the bundle for this game. Obviously, this is the biggest game that's launching with it day one, so everybody's gonna buy this game that gets a Switch 2. It's it's the main game on day one. So you're better off getting the bundle if you're able to pull it off. But I think everybody's gonna have the same mindset. It's gonna be hard, so we'll see. But yeah, I will be pre-ordering this on April 24th. They said 11 a.m. GameStop is gonna open their pre-orders, but I'm gonna try Best Buy as well, or Nintendo themselves. So I'll try whatever I can get. But it seems like they shipped a lot of them over already, in anticipation of the tariffs. So I don't think it's going to be like a nightmare where you're fighting bots and it's going to be like no one's going to be able to get it, but who knows? But we'll see. I remember when I was pre-ordering the PS5 and the Xbox when they first were revealed that it was pretty easy to pre-order them. It was the aftermath, like when you after the launch date, where it was like 5-6 months of just struggle to find a console. But that was with COVID and not enough the chip shortage and all that. So different time, right? And there's still a market uncertainty, but I can't imagine it's gonna be as bad as COVID chip shortage time. But who knows? So we'll see. All right, so that's Mario Kart Direct. Overall, I think this was probably as best case scenario as you can get for Nintendo and for the consumers, the customers, because this easily could have been a $600-700 console. The way the tariffs were going, the fact that the tariffs got paused, the fact that the console's staying the same price, that's a win for people that really want the system and are excited for it and all that. I think the only downside. Not the only downside, but the biggest downside is still the $80 Mario Kart. But otherwise, this is probably the best case scenario that we got, all things considering. Because it's really scary what it could have been. Not that obviously this is a luxury item, you don't have to buy it, but it was concerning how much it was gonna be. So, all right, moving on. Elder Scrolls Oblivion was leaked with screenshots. And it could possibly be coming out next week, which is insane. So, first of all, the biggest secret that everybody knows about was Oblivion Remaster is being worked on. Everybody's been talking about this for months, if not a couple years, I feel like. But I think months is more accurate. So multiple sources have confirmed that it's in development. So it's definitely happening. It's just a matter of when. It's not being developed by Bethesda, though. It's being developed by Virtuos Studios, and they're using Unreal Engine 5. The screenshot showed upgraded visuals, but it kept the same original layout, so you can tell it was Oblivion. The rumored release window is late April 2025, next week, which is late April, or anytime this year. But I think it seems like it's gonna be next week on Game Pass day one. It's going to be launching on apparently PS5 as well and Steam, or PC in general. And it says the Sky Oblivion mod team supports the remaster, saying both can coexist. And the fans are hoping that the remaster keeps Oblivion's quirky NPC charm and awkward facial animations. And the speculation is the remaster allows Bethesda to focus more on Elder Scrolls 6. And that's rumored for 2027. Which I think is not unrealistic. I think that's pretty realistic. It's been a long time since they revealed it. Dory, how do you feel about this news? As somebody who has not played Elder Scrolls. How do you feel about it?
I'm pretty stunned that they would just shadow drop it next week. I mean, I guess it's not so much a shadow drop anymore, right, if it does happen, but
yeah,
still a relative shadow drop. It's pretty wild. I didn't grow up playing Oblivion, as I've talked about before, but if the remaster is real, which it seems to be, I would certainly give it a shot. It's interesting to me that it's not developed by Bethesda, but I'm sure Bethesda did a lot of consulting and guiding and making sure that it comes out the exact way that they want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it's still the original game, I'm sure there's still going to be some hiccups for people who want to get into it. I'd like them to, update the visual, not just the visuals, but update the gameplay and some of the mechanics and stuff. They don't have to hugely change it or anything, but modernize it maybe a little bit. So I hope they do that. If they don't, whatever.
Well, they did.
It's not.
Well, the articles that I've read said they improved the blocking. They said the sneak icon highlights are better, or they're there. The stamina has been reworked. There's an archery overhaul. the enemies actually react to attacking, and the HUD is completely reimagined. So it sounds like they did change the gameplay to an extent. I'm sure it still plays largely like what you would expect. But yeah, they did change the gameplay from what we're seeing so far, like in terms of like the news. Not like we haven't seen any gameplay footage of it, but it looks like it's first person combat, similar to Avowed, as Dory beat this year and I beat this year. So how do you feel about that kind of combat? Are you interested in this?
I could certainly give it a shot. I liked Avow's combat, and I don't know firsthand, but I believe that Avowed is somewhat similar to just a more modernized version of Oblivion.
It is pretty much the same
So,
thing.
right. So I mean, like, I don't know. I enjoyed that combat. So I mean, I'm not expecting them to, to like dual wield wands and shit like that. But I would certainly give it a shot. I mean, it depends on how much it is. Depends on the reviews. I'm not day one or anything like that.
Well, it's on Game Pass,
And
so you're not gonna have to buy it.
oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know that. That's great. So I would certainly try it, at least if it's on Game Pass, even if the reviews are kind of like, well, this is the same great thing, but they didn't update a lot. I'd still probably give it a shot because I never played it as a kid. I think I might have like, played it for a couple hours or something, got lost, and then gave up. But yeah, now that I'm older and obviously the internet's a lot better about guides and stuff, yeah, I would certainly at least check it out.
Nice. Yeah, Oblivion is one of the best games in the series. I mean, but all of them are really good. Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, like these are all classic RPGs, must play games if you like Western RPGs. And this is really exciting news. But my only thing is, I don't understand shadow dropping it, especially in the same week as Expedition 33. Like I know like Microsoft doesn't own Expedition 33 or anything like that, but like you've been marketing it on Game Pass for a while now. Expedition 33. It's like the big Game Pass game this next week. I don't see why there's a rush to release this game. I know there's competing audiences. Like I mean, I know that like there's different genres and people like different things, but you're still competing against people's time. Like people only have so much time in their day to play games, and they're gonna pick and choose what they want to play. Why not just wait like a month or whatever? Like, why are we in a rush to release this as a shadow drop?
Yeah, I don't like that aspect at all. If it is releasing next week, it's competing with another RPG. Now, granted, they are different kinds of RPGs, right? Clair Obscur is a turn-based, but they're both RPGs. They're both from Microsoft. They're both on Game Pass. It seems asinine to do this, and I really hope Microsoft doesn't. Not because of Oblivion. I couldn't care less about Bethesda's profits, but I care about an independent team like Sandfall getting the money that the fucking devs should be making after years of hard work for what looks like a tremendous game to possibly be hurt by fucking Oblivion of all games, which has already existed for years.
Yeah.
So like I hope that it doesn't come out. I mean, Jeff Grubb has said that he thinks it's going to come out next week. We'll see. Jeff Grubb's been right before and he's been wrong before. And as always, things can change, right? Insiders can be right at first and then they can be wrong later on because somebody on the inside either got wind of it or said, no, I changed my mind.
Yeah.
So things could change. And I hope they do. I'm absolutely day one to Clair Obscur. Even if it was just PlayStation, I'd probably like bite the bullet and buy it. But But yeah, I'm day one Clair Obscur. I forgot that it would conflict with that. But yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I would definitely wait for Oblivion at least until May or something like that.
Well, yeah,
personally.
The thing is, I already bought Clair Obscur on Steam, so like I'm going to prioritize that game. I mean, we've been talking about it for months now. I'm really excited to play it. And if Oblivion came out next week, I'm going to buy it, of course. I love Elder Scrolls, but it's going to have to sit in the corner and wait. And it's going to be challenging to go from one RPG to another, because obviously, even if Clair Obscur is like a fantastic game and it's like, it's going to be like, I want to see at least 30, 40 hours maybe, right? Is there supposed to be a shorter game? I don't know. But I'll get burned out from like, I just finished Assassin's Creed Shadows as well. and Kingdom Come Deliverance not too long ago, and it's like so many like big open world games and RPGs I need a break from these kind of games. It just feels weird to shadow drop this. And what is the advantage of shadow dropping it? Like, wouldn't it be better if you marketed it, get people hyped and excited for it, and then I know Game Pass doesn't get sales, but like you can really advertise this on Steam and PlayStation, and you can hype it up on Game Pass as like the marquee game for the month. Like, why not do this in June or something? Like, do it right after Doom, right? Like, what is the rush? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush was good. It was like a great game as a shadow drop, right? But it didn't succeed. Like, it was a critical darling. Dory and I both love it. It was in our top 10 game of that year. But the game didn't really sell well, and the whole studio got shut down. Rest in peace to the Tango. And I don't think the shadow drop really did anything. It got praised on Twitter by fans and stuff, but like with the casual audience, the people that really decide how things go, didn't really have interest in Hi-Fi Rush. I feel like Hi-Fi Rush could have really used more advertising. Could have really been sold as a marquee Xbox game. It could have been the face of Xbox. You know, like not as like the same level as Master Chief, but you know what I'm saying. Like it could have been like a hyped game, right? I don't think Shadow Drop thing really helped Hi-Fi Rush in hindsight. And I'm not sure doing any. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure the point of doing this. How do you feel about shadow dropping, like Hi-Fi Rush, or and just in general? Like, do you think it benefits?
I think shadow drops are. Yeah, I mean, I think shadow drops are a really cool idea, but in general, I mean, when they did that with Hi-Fi Rush, I loved it. That was one of my favorite games of that year.
Yeah,
it was a really cool marketing technique. It worked, obviously. Not only was it a very successful game critically and financially, although you wouldn't know it from how Microsoft treated them, but thankfully,
I think it hurt them financially because the game didn't sell very well. Like,
I thought it did sell well. Am I remembering wrong?
It got people played it on Game Pass for sure, but it didn't even succeed on PlayStation when they released it on PlayStation. That's just the main. It's the reason why Tango got shut down because it didn't sell very well. Like, I'm not saying it sold nothing, but obviously Game Pass was the biggest factor because it cannibalized the sales. But I feel like it could have been. I feel like Shadow Drop in hindsight hurt it. Like, just even though it was cool for us because it was a great game. And, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it actually hurt the game. But I don't know. I think it doesn't really matter because I think the main thing for them is Game Pass, of course, and they want you to play Game Pass to get Oblivion. But I feel like for Steam and PlayStation users, like I feel like it's better just to market this and make this like a marquee game that people are gonna buy. Because people love the Steam version because you can mod it better. I feel like people have more freedom. They feel like on Steam than Game Pass, PC Game Pass. I don't know. I just don't see the benefit of shadow dropping this, but I'm sure people disagree. I mean, I'm looking at it as like from a studio standpoint, not from from our standpoint. For me, it doesn't matter, right? Like
I mean, when I was saying like it sold well, I guess I'm just like conflating like how popular it was online, how well I felt like it did on Game Pass. But you're right when I think about, when I think about like actually selling, like, you know, going to other consoles or going to PC, I don't remember there being a lot of hype about that.
Well, that's what I said. Like, it was really popular online, like on Twitter and stuff. Like, people were praising it. It was a marquee Xbox game. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome." But but the casual audience, the people that really decide things, didn't either buy it or just didn't click. I don't know, but they didn't support it as much as it could have happened. But I feel like that's more Game Pass's problem than the shadow drop. But I think the shadow drop didn't help. That's all I'm saying. I just don't. Overall, just to wrap this up, I don't see the point of shadow dropping this on the same week of Clear Obscure. I don't see what the rush is. You have the entire year to release this game. Like, why do we have to get this out of the way? But maybe it's not a major remake and it's just like a side project that's okay. They just want it out the door. But that's just speculation. Who knows? So, yeah, we'll see. I'll buy it. I'm gonna support the hell out of it. It's just not gonna be next week. It's gonna have to wait. Because Clear Obscure, I've been waiting for a long time to play it. I'm excited for that game. It could be a Game of the Year contender. So we'll see. All right, next game. Cronos, The New Dawn. So Cronos, The New Dawn, it got revealed at, I want to say the Game Awards, or was it Summer Game or something like that, right? Is it Game Award? I think it was the Game Awards when they
I
first.
believe it was the Game Awards. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, and it was like late in the year. I feel like. Anyway, um, it was developed by Bloober Team, the people that made Silent Hill 2 remake and other horror games. But obviously, Silent Hill 2 remake has put them on the map now. Like they found their calling. They found like their mojo. I always said Bloober Team they don't make horrible games like people are making it out to be, but they always kind of made mid games. They made the medium. So like they've but I feel like after Silent Hill 2, I feel like they learned a lot. Like how to do the sound designing and the combat, which is okay, but the combat, the cinematics, the acting, I think they found their groove with the storytelling. And this game looks like a quality game. First of all, it's launching in 2025 for PS5, Xbox, and PC. It's a third-person survival horror with sci-fi and time travel twists. So it's a third-person viewpoint. To me, it looks like Dead Space. That's the best comparison,
Yeah.
I think, or Callisto Protocol. And that really excites me because I love how cinematic and awesome those games are. That's my favorite genre, is third-person shooters, third-person adventure games, like PlayStation, the PlayStation template. Those are my kind of games. It's set in a post-apocalyptic future and a 1980s Poland under martial law. You play as a traveler from the future, and you extract people from the past to prevent a disaster. This has a unique enemy system. The orphans can merge with corpses to become more powerful, unless the bodies are burned. That sounds very Dead Space. The corpses,
Yes.
mutate. The survival focus. There's limited resources. There's a one tough difficulty, and there's absolutely no hand holding. So it's a survival horror game. That's the genre, and it's inspired by Dead Space, Returnal, Resident Evil, Dark, and 12 Monkeys. Dark is a German show on Netflix, and 12 Monkeys is a classic science fiction movie. And Returnal, I see the Returnal comparison as well. The setting just feels like that. I was getting Control vibes too a bit. And Resident Evil, I guess, would be more so like the combat. Resident Evil 4 Remake. The visuals mix brutalist architecture with like a retro futuristic technology, and the story is told through cutscenes and audio logs for deep immersion. So, third-person adventure game. So, Dory, how did you feel about this trailer?
I was really excited. I really liked what I saw from this. The combat looked really satisfying.
Yeah.
Like you said, it had those dark, kind of moody survival horror Dead Space vibes.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. And we haven't gotten a good Dead Space game since really the remake. I mean, Callisto Protocol wasn't bad, but it wasn't what people wanted, right? I'm not saying it was terrible. I know some people overhated it and some people underhated it, but it was just like a 7 out of 10, right? Well, when fixed.
I think
it was kind of buggy at first.
I think people didn't like the melee combat focus. Like Dead Space is mainly a shooting game, where like Callisto Protocol had a huge focus on the melee, and the camera angles didn't really work with the melee combat. People had a lot of issues with that, but I think people have become a little more positive on Callisto Protocol now, like after the fact. But yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't. Dead Space obviously is the best. I think the best game since. Well, actually, Resident Evil 4 Remake was like the same 2 months. Like I feel like they came out pretty close to each other. Actually, I feel like those have been the two best survival horror games in that camera angle since then. Right? I don't think there's been anything else since those two games 2 years ago.
Yeah, I would struggle to think
level.
of anything besides the remake, Dead Space 1, Dead Space 2.
Yeah, but I'm saying since the Dead Space, because Dead Space Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake were like in the same quarter, like it was the same
right.
And now I don't think there's been anything like those games since those came out, right? Like on that level of cinematics and quality.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Either way, yeah, you're right. This is the most exciting survival horror game in terms of high quality cinematic. Okay, maybe if you include the Silent Hill 2 remake, right? I would count that. Yeah. So it's exciting. I think. I think this game looks fantastic, and I'm really excited. This is day one for me. This is my kind of game. Again, it's everything I love. I love third person survival horror more than first person. I don't like the first person like stealth, like you have to hide and you one shotted by enemies if they catch you.
Right.
I don't really like that. I like this where like resources are limited, but you can still fight back. A lot of cinematics, great scenery, atmosphere. This is my kind of game. This is day one.
Yeah. This looks great. I'm really excited about this. Did they say, let's see, launching for PC, but they didn't say Game Pass? Did they say Game Pass?
No, it's not coming to Game Pass.
Okay, that's fine. I'll probably play it on PC or PlayStation. I really liked what I saw. The gameplay looks really powerful in terms of like what you're doing.
Yeah.
The atmosphere looked really cool. I'm interested in the story and what's going on there.
Yeah.
Time travel, thankfully, has never bitten anyone in the butt in terms of narrative, so I'm sure that'll work out fine. But yeah, more seriously, this looks really impressive, and I'm excited to see more. I'd like to see more, but
yeah,
I'm cautiously optimistic for this one and hope it's great.
I mean, I don't think it's coming to Game Pass. I didn't see anything about the Game Pass, but maybe.
Yeah, that's just me being hopeful.
In the it might in the future. Like Crystal Protocol, I think eventually did, but but you'll probably not wait if it's that good. I wouldn't personally.
Right.
All right, yeah.
No.
So this looks great. Bluebird. I have a lot of faith in Bluebird team now. I think Silent Hill 2 remake was fantastic. It was top 10 game of the year for me last year. I absolutely loved it in so many ways. I would have nominated for game of the year. I thought it was a shame that I got shunned in the top 6. I feel like it was that quality. So this excites me because this is like a new IP. So we'll see. Because I mean, obviously they had the template, the blueprint to do Silent Hill 2 correct because Silent Hill 2 already had a phenomenal story. So all they had to do is just build on the foundation. So this is a whole new IP for them. So maybe we'll see how they can handle a new IP in the current Bluebird team. All right, moving on to Star Wars Zero Company. Now, this weekend is a very popular weekend because first of all, it's Easter weekend and it's WrestleMania weekend and it's Star Wars weekend. Star Wars Celebration is happening right now in Japan. I've been watching it at nighttime because it's in Japan, so it starts at like 10 p.m. at night. And I had the day off yesterday, which was nice because of Good Friday, and I was able to watch it. And I was waiting to see some video game news, but the video games news was not until day 2, and it wasn't like a lot, but this was like the main thing. And we've been hearing about this game for a while, but we just weren't sure what it was. People were expecting like maybe Empire at War kind of game, but it looks like this is a turn-based tactics game set during the final days of the Clone Wars. So that's what we saw in the gameplay trailer. You play as Hawks, a former Republic officer, and he's leading an elite unit called Zero Company. It focuses on single-player strategy, tactical missions, and narrative choices. It looks a lot like XCOM, if you like that kind of game. It has squad-based combat. You recruit and customize operatives from across the galaxy. It has base building, so you manage a home base and you develop operations. It has an intel system. You build an informant network to gather crucial intel, and you form character bonds. So you strengthen your squad's relationships to unlock powerful synergies. The customization, you can tailor your appearances, your classes, and squad roles. So we didn't get a lot on this game. That was the main thing. I got most of these from the article. But the gameplay looked really good if you're in those kind of games. I'm definitely interested in this game. It's developed by strategy veterans at Bit Reactor, and it's in collaboration with Respawn and Lucasfilm Games. Respawn is the ones that do Jedi Fallen Order and Titanfall and Apex Legends. And it's coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox in 2026. So, Dory, any interest in this game? I don't really know if you like tactics games like this or XCOM.
I'm not usually a tactics person, but I mean, I I'm not adverse to them. I've never really gotten into them. Like I never played the XCOM games. I never played the Mario Rabbids games. I don't know. Those are the first two that really pop in my mind.
Yeah.
But I never really played those kind of games. But I don't like have anything inherently against them. I mean, they're basically turn-based RPGs with just a little bit more tactics to them. I did talk before. I know this isn't exactly the same thing, but I did talk before about Wintermoor Academy, and that did have some tactical elements to it. Not exactly the same thing, of course, and it's aping at D&D too, so there's a lot more going on there. But I did enjoy it, and I did like it, and I liked what I saw from the trailer. So I don't know. I'll just need to see more. I still like the Star Wars universe. I'm not as invested as I used to be, although Andor Season 2, looking forward to that for sure. But generally speaking, I mean, I'm not as interested in Star Wars as I used to be. There's still shows and movies from it, of course, that I love. I'm still watching Rebels, but generally speaking, my investment's not super high. But yeah, I liked what I saw, and you know, they've done this before with the Bad Batch, and they've done it before with Outlaw, and they always like doing these kind of, not always, but they recently have been doing more and more of these kind of grimy, kind of like, I don't know, like Outcast, Rebels, kind
Rogue
of,
One. Yeah.
Rogue One kind of thing, where it's like a bunch of like misfits come together to do the job that no one wants to do. So it's kind of like tried and true at this point and a little tropey, but you know, it's worked. I mean, most people liked Bad Batch. You know, I know Outlaws had some issues, but it was largely 7s out of 10s, especially once the issues got fixed. So, you know, it's working for them so far. We'll see if this one works.
Yeah, Outlaws had issues largely because Ubisoft's just games always have technical issues basically, and it didn't sell well as they were hoping. It was kind of a bomb for them in what they were expecting. But you're right. I think I really like the underground grimy aspect of Star Wars. Like, not everything can be about Jedis and Sith. Sometimes it's good to get the other side of Star Wars, which what I like about Outlaws a lot. Is like I love being like a smuggler and like doing working for crime, like, you know, factions and doing missions and stuff, like not just Jedis but I do like the Jedi stuff too. Like I love Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. I'm ready for the third game.
And the classic Jedi games too, like Jedi Academy and the Dark Forces stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Star Wars games have Jedi focused, obviously, and KOTOR, of course. And I'm excited for this game. There's a Jedi in this game as well. Is it the end of the Clone Wars? So
somebody said in the comments, I was laughing at this. I don't know if this happened in the trailer or not, but somebody said 98% chance of lightsaber critical miss.
100%. If it's like XCOM, you're gonna have a 98% chance of hitting him, and you're gonna miss.
That fucking happened to me at Disco Elysium. I had like a 96% chance. I had to reload that save, and it was such an important decision too, and I failed it. I couldn't believe it. I was pissed, but I was also laughing. I was like, "There's no fucking way, dude."
Plus, isn't like a CRPG basically turn-based tactical game? Like, isn't Baldur's Gate 3? Isn't Baldur's Gate 3 you literally like put a person in a certain spot so you can like blow them off the side of the cliff? Or
there's definitely a lot of overlap right there.
Yeah. But the CRPGs are never called like tactics games, really, right? Like I never see them associated together.
It's mostly just because of the complicated UI more than anything, you know.
Yeah. So I'm excited for it. Although overall, in terms of video games, I feel like there wasn't really much this year at Star Wars Celebration for video games. Like there was just this really, and the Star Wars Outlaws DLC, which looked pretty cool, which I'm gonna get. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for the KOTOR remake. I've pretty much given up on that. And there was that one David Cage Star Wars game that was revealed like, I don't know how long ago. I feel like a decade ago at this point. We've gotten absolutely nothing on that. But I think overall with the Star Wars Celebration, the news has been pretty good. Like nothing like wows me. Like nothing I really already didn't know about or anything like that. But I am happy at least with this game that they're focusing on the Clone Wars. Like I like that they're doing different eras in different spots. Like it's cool like that. I don't think it has to be like Marvel where everything has to connect and you have to do everything on the same timeline. Like I like that.
Right.
I like that this game is giving us the in between episode 3 and 4, which is a great spot. But this is like Clone Wars. Like, so this is like the end of Clone Wars. This is like the final season of Clone Wars, basically. So I'm excited for this. Not my kind of genre, but I do like some of these games. So I am going to definitely get this game, unless it gets bad reviews. All right. So moving on to our spotlights now. That's it for our news. So I'm going to spotlight Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then Dory will talk about Saltsea Chronicles, and then I will talk about Lost Records with Dory, and we'll give like a little spoiler cast as well for it. Discuss the ending, because you can't really talk about it without spoiling it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed Shadows, a very uncontroversial game, like, right? No one knows about this game, right? No one ever talks about Shadows Creed.
No,
Assassin's Creed.
I've never even heard of it. Assassin? What is that? I have no idea.
Yeah, everybody loves this game, all right? It's universally praised. No issues at all. No.
One of my favorite wrestlers, Will Ospreay, conveniently took a week off the same week that Assassin's Creed this game came out. So definitely a coincidence there, and absolutely he's not called the assassin at all. So anyway, yeah, and Ubisoft even had him in some of the marketing, so I thought that was really cool. He got to meet Ezio, and he fucking nerded out because he's a gigantic nerd. And anyway, so go ahead.
Now, if you don't want to play this game because you don't support Ubisoft's practices, I totally get that, and that's totally cool. But if you don't support this game because it's a black guy and a woman, and you think it's very political, it really isn't. When you play the game itself, there's nothing overtly political besides, like, feudalism and things like that. But the game doesn't, like, hit you inside of the head with politics. It doesn't, like, preach at you. There's nothing liberal about this game. Game is purely like Ghost of Tsushima. It's a revenge story in feudal Japan, and you want to assassinate a bunch of leaders and armies, and like, it's political in that sense, but it's not like modern politics. And so if you're expecting that kind of game, it takes itself very seriously. It's very focused samurai assassin ninja game. So I'll start with the setting. It's in feudal Japan. It's very beautiful. It's very immersive. Like, it has weather patterns. The weather effects in this game are fantastic. It looks very pretty. It's going to be one of the best looking open world games this year. I don't think it's as pretty as Ghost of Tsushima, but it's close. I think Ghost of Tsushima has more color, that more eye-popping set than this game. This game has more green with the trees and stuff. But I still think it looks really nice. It's a very pretty game. Just not as pretty as Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion. The character models look really good. Sometimes I have issues with Ubisoft with their character models. Like, these environments look nice, but the character models look bad. I think the character models in this game look good. Are they like the greatest ever? Like, they're not comparison like Last of Us or anything, but they're like, I think they're really good. I like both protagonists. I like I'm gonna say her name, Naue and Yasuke. I like both characters. I liked both of their stories to an extent. However, I felt like they should have stuck with one protagonist, and I feel like it hurt the game, jumping back and forth, because they play vastly different from each other. Yasuke is a big guy. He's like a monster in front of, like, in comparison to everybody else. He's like the Hulk, and his gameplay is all like first-hand combat, like up front, just demolishing people. Naue is more like stealth based, and it's more assassin. You're like a shinobi. You're a ninja. You're stealthy. Your missions are stealthy. I think it could be a jarring jumping back and forth, because the game gives you the choice of playing as one character only. Like it will give you like a decision. You want to handle it with him, or you want to handle it with her, and it changes it. But I feel like they could have just stuck with one person. I feel like Naue feels like more like the main character to me in this game, honestly. Like, because she's like the main focus right in the beginning. Like, Yasuke has a focus too, but like Naue, just like her story feels like the most personal, with the revenge and her dad and that kind of thing. Like, build up. Yasuke, but Yasuke's story was really well done as well. I don't know. I would have rather they just stuck with one character or the other, but whatever. I talked about the visuals already, and the gameplay. It's typical Assassin's Creed. It's the stealth. You sneak by enemies, you assassinate them. You have a lot of tools. You can handle things any way you want. You can fight everybody if you want, or you can stealth. The world is pretty streamlined, I guess. It's focused. It's not hard to get places. Only things I didn't like were like when certain missions were like on a cliff. I wasn't sure how to climb up there, and there was no. It was like I like for Horizon. It gives you like little paint on the walls to tell you where to go. I wish this game had something like that because it was very confusing at times, like how to get on the mountain. But otherwise, I think the open world was pretty clean, easy to get around. I didn't have any issues with that. It was just when some missions were like on a cliff, and it was like, how do I get up there? And it doesn't tell you at all. You can play this game with like no waypoints, but I don't recommend it because it makes it really hard. Like to figure it out is almost impossible. I tried it and I was very confused where to go. Like I don't have the time for this. I turned it off and did like a normal mode, and it changed the game for me because it was so much better. I think the melee is fine. It's nothing amazing. It's typical Assassin's Creed gameplay. Don't expect anything beyond that. The narrative is hit or miss for me. The overall story I felt was good, but I feel like it dragged way too much. I feel like this game has way too much bloat, which has been my biggest issue with Assassin's Creed in the last few entries. Odyssey and Origins and Valhalla, they just go on way too long. There's so many side missions and too much side content that just it gets really repetitive because at the end of the day, every storyline just turns into like general trying to pull something, or someone gets betrayed, or someone's secretly pulling something. You find out it's him. Oh my god, he did it, and you have to go assassinate him. Like every story pretty much evolves around that, and it just got repetitive. Like this game could have easily been more streamlined, where it was like focus on one character and focus on one story, and you do whatever, right? Like, I feel like Ghost of Tsushima was way better paced and had way more of a focus because Jin was the main character, and that's what we're going to focus on. The story was all around him. Like, we're not delving into different aspects of certain characters. It got all over the place. It never felt like that with Ghost of Tsushima to me as much. This game was like this game is just all over the place sometimes. Like, I'm invested in Naoe's story, and then we're doing Yasuke's story, and then we're doing Yasuke's story. I'm not, like, something major happens, and then we're stuck with another character. It gets repetitive. But I think I like Naoe's story, even though it's very generic. It's like revenge. Every story in Japan, I feel like I can do a samurai. It's like revenge. Oh, my father was killed. I must kill all of them. I must get revenge, right? Ghost of Tsushima did the same thing, right? I'm comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima because like it's pretty much the same game, really. I think Ghost of Tsushima is better. Her Naoe's story is about the Assassin's Brotherhood. Like she's an assassin, comes from the line of assassins. If you ever played Assassin's Creed, they're descendants of assassins and the Templars and things like that. That's Naoe's story. Hers is a simple revenge story. I'm gonna kill all the people that killed my dad. Yasuke's story was really good. First of all, I love that he's a foreigner in Japan. He's a big black guy. He stands out, and like people judge him because they see this as a black man, and I found his story interesting, really interesting. He becomes a samurai for like a general, and I was invested in it, but I was to an extent, but like because the game was so bloated, it lost its momentum. Like once we got to the end in like Act 3, when we're getting Yasuke's getting his revenge for like what happened to his mom on the ship and things like that, and like what the foreigners did to him, like the other foreigners, like the Portuguese and the Templars. I mean, I was invested, but it was like, but at the time we got there, the game was over. So that's my biggest takeaway from this game is that there was a really good story here, or at least a decent story here, but there's so much bloat and pacing issues then it loses its touch. It falls apart. If it just stayed on one character, either Naue or Yasuke, and just made it a little more streamlined, a bit more or a lot more streamlined, I feel like this would have been a lot more effective in terms of like a overall stronger game. And I did like the immersive mode where you can play as the characters have like their whatever language they actually speak, like if it was in real life. So like the Portuguese actually speak Portuguese, and Yasuke speaks Japanese and Portuguese, and everybody else is speaking Japanese. I like that. Felt very immersive. It did. I really liked the Japanese dub. I preferred it. I played 95% of the game in Japanese. I didn't really care for the English dub that much. I feel like the actress for Naue was not that great. She sounded weird. She sounded like she just didn't. I don't know. Something just didn't click with me. And Yasuke speaking Japanese sounded a lot more effective because he's in Japan. He's learning Japanese. Like I think he had like I don't want to say a Jamaican accent, but he had like a Caribbean like accent in the English dub, and it felt like it fit better when he was speaking Japanese. It just felt more authentic. And the Japanese dub is really good. So that's how I prefer to play it. But I watch anime and sub, so I don't mind captions and things like that. But whatever, right? I think that was effective. So to wrap it up, I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good game. In fact, I think it can be a very good game at times. It has good gameplay, nothing great, nothing revolutionary, typical third-person Assassin's Creed kind of gameplay. I think the environment, the setting, the graphics are really nice. I think the music's good. I think the story is mostly pretty good, but it just falls apart because it's so bloated and pacing issues and just too much side content, and you have to go over here, kill this person, and like I would have preferred a more streamlined story. But it's fine. The story itself, the overall, is fine. I didn't think the ending was too abrupt, and it feels like they're building to a DLC or a sequel, but it just kind of ends and then that's it. And you do get revenge to an extent, but it's kind of like one of those like it's epilogue. You finished it. Okay, now you're still in the open world. Do whatever you want now, and it's like I feel like there could have been a little more closure or wrap up. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows, 8 out of 10. Biggest problem is the bloat and the dragginess, and it goes on too long. If you do all the side content, it's like over 100-hour game. I didn't do that. I put like 45 hours into it, I want to say. I got my money's worth. I mean, it's not like I rushed it in 5 hours. Like I got my money's worth. I enjoyed this game. It's my top 5. I don't think it's going to stay in my top 5, but I can easily see this being my top 10 by the end of the year. I really liked it. I'm not a big Assassin's Creed fan, but I really love Japan. I love samurai. I love feudal Japan. It's such a awesome setting for a game, and I'm glad there's a lot more samurai games. But it has that Ubisoft bloat, and I wish they would stop doing that. I wish they just need to cut down, make it like more like Horizon or God of War, where it's like 25 to 30 hours and not like 50 plus hours of just bloat. Because I never felt like that pacing issue with Horizon like other people do. I always felt like I'm always doing something that interests me, but I don't know. Dory, any interest in this game, or like besides the Ubisoft thing?
Yeah, if Ubisoft didn't have their own shitty service, I might actually check this out because I've heard a lot of good things. And I think the historical work that Ubisoft is doing in this particular point is important. I do have a love for Assassin's Creed. I love 2. I think 3 is overhated, and I adore Black Flag. So I have a lot of love and respect for the series. I think it's a really cool idea. Being an assassin is awesome. But yeah, as we've talked about, I don't like Ubisoft, and we can't share the games because of their stupid, the way that they have their own launcher and all that stuff. If they ever get rid of it, maybe I'll check it out.
So stupid.
I honestly even struggle to go back to some of the games that we do share. Like I know some of the Assassin's Creed games are in my Steam library. Yeah. And sorry, one second. Sorry, excuse me. And I still kind of struggle with like, well, do I really want to go back and play them or play Syndicate or play this or that? So yeah, it's a tough thing for me, but I'm standing by it for right now. If it ever came to Game Pass, I'd consider it. But
Probably will.
What's that?
It probably will.
It probably
Most of
it
them
probably
are.
will because a lot of Ubisoft games go on discount or come to Game Pass or do something
Yeah.
so they can increase promotional stuff, and also because it just goes on discount. But yeah, I enjoy listening to you talk about it because it does push the needle a little bit for me. If they make it more available and I don't have to give money directly to Ubisoft, then I'd consider it because I do love Samurais. I loved Ghost of Tsushima so much. It was an incredible game. So I'm glad that this worked out for them.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not their biggest fan, but yeah, they're also not the same Ubisoft as 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, so now that I finished it, the hate for this game was so overblown. You would have thought it was so political or so like out of touch or something, like the way people reacted. This game is so focused on itself, like its own serious story of revenge. There's nothing political really here besides, kill the generals, that kind of thing, but I don't know what people are really mad about besides, Yasuke being black.
They're just mad that black people exist. I gotta be real with you. They're just mad that black people exist.
Because and the story it did such an like it really, Yasuke's story was well done when it was actually when they actually more streamlined and focused on it. I really it wasn't like punching in the face, but like politics, Black Lives Matter. It was nothing about that. It was like Yasuke is a foreigner in Japan, and he's like forced into this, and it's all about honor and respect and identity. Like it was nothing. There was nothing like overtly political that you would think people were so mad about. Like there was nothing like that. There wasn't like I don't know how else to explain it. It wasn't overtly political. So I don't really understand after beating it what the upset was besides him being black. So whatever. Anyway, that's enough about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Good game. Dory, you completed Saltsea Chronicles. So can you talk about it, please?
Yes. This game's really annoying because every time I type it out, I type Sea Salt Chronicles, and that's not correct. It's Saltsea Chronicles. Anyway, this is a great game. It's a Dory game. Guess what, everybody? We're talking about a Dory game. Let's go. And actually, the next game is kind of a Dory game too. But anyway, Dory game, by the way, for those who don't know, just means it's a very narrative-focused, story-driven, character-driven adventure. But anyway,
with narrative choices and
consequences,
usually
and
focus on it. Usually focus on a teenage girl or traveling or.
Great. Maybe sound as weird as possible. But yes, this one, however, does not focus on a bunch of teenagers, thankfully. So I can get a pass on that. But Saltsea Chronicles is about actually various characters on a ship as you explore a post-apocalyptic world that's been ravaged by global warming. So forget whatever Seb just said about games that are not political and do not have a message and are not putting it loudly in your face. This game's the exact opposite. This game's like, capitalism's real fucked up, global warming has fucked our world, and we are living in the result of it. So if that's not your bag, that's fine, but I'm just letting you know it's the total opposite of there is no agenda here. There are non-binary characters, although, it's not a main part of it. There are, discussions about gender a little bit. There's a couple of gay relationships. This is a very progressive game, which is partially why I played it, because I'm trans and also pansexual, so that's my jam. At times, when it's done well. So there are ways to do it badly, but I don't think this game does it in that way. But anyway, so how it works is you go from mission to mission, and you pick out each mission, and you have unique conversations depending on who you pick, what choices you make, what the mission itself is. So maybe you're trying to get intel on one thing. Basically, you're trying, and this isn't a spoiler, but you're trying to go after your missing captain. Your captain has been captured or ran away. It's unclear. The game implies that she's been captured, but there's a whole mystery about her intentions, and we don't know what's going on. So there's a whole story there. And then in the meantime, you're learning about all these characters. There's a cook. There's, a person who takes over for navigation. There's a new captain. There's a couple of younger kids. So yes, there are, of course, teenagers in here. And Yeah, I loved it. There's a lot of room for replayability here. I don't have nearly as much I'll keep talking, but I just want to say at the before I go any further, I won't have a ton to say about this game because I don't want to give any big things away, and a lot of it's very dependent on what you do. But I thought the twists were really good. The writing was excellent. In general, the game is just a really great time. I did think that the ending was a bit abrupt, came out of nowhere, and we'll talk about abrupt endings, I think, in a minute. But, in general, I really liked the story. I do want to talk about one thing in particular. There is an autistic coded character in this game, and I won't say who they are, but it'll be pretty obvious as you go along. I just absolutely adored them. I'm going through a similar thing right now. I'm watching this HBO show called The Pit. I don't usually watch medical dramas, but the show's really good and it has a character named Mel who's autistic coded as fuck, and I love her, and she's awesome. And I just fell in love with this character, and I'm going to try to say this very carefully, but there's something that happens related to this character based on your choices that just brought me to tears. I really think that this game reinforced to me how powerful video games can be as an art form, as a bit of emotional catharsis. I loved a lot of what this game did. There's a character, you make some choices later on in the game that could really impact your crew, is what I'll say. And I unfortunately made the worst choice possible for me, but in a weird way, I was kind of glad because the other choice would have been a character I wasn't super invested in, wouldn't have hit me as hard, but I was crushed. And I was crushed mostly on the behalf of this other character that I've been talking about and the stuff that they go through because of what happens to their friend. It's horrible, and it's really well done, and they spend a whole chapter. It's basically 12 chapters. You can beat it in under 10 hours. I beat it in, I think, around under 10 hours. I don't exactly remember. It was a little under 8 hours for me. But I really enjoyed my time with it. A very distinctive art style. Check out my screenshots on Blue Sky. I really appreciated its art style. It's kind of a little bit, squiggly here and there because it's an indie studio, it's an indie game. But I really appreciated the art style. I really appreciated these characters and the writing going on. In general, Saltsea Chronicles, highly recommended. Again, the ending's a bit abrupt, and I don't know exactly, are they sequel baiting or were they just kind of leaving things to your imagination? I don't know. We'll talk about another game that does that in a second. But yeah, endings are tough. That's honestly one of the biggest lessons I'm getting from 2025 is the lesson that Stephen King has learned many times. Endings are very hard to write. And, it takes a lot to really make you feel resolved in the plot. Go ahead.
I feel like the common theme we've had on this podcast since we started it last year is that endings have been very abrupt. A lot of games don't know how to end correctly. It's been a common problem. A lot of great build up, and then the ending doesn't nail the landing. But we'll talk about the next game. But yeah, this looks like a good game that I would be into. I'm assuming would it run well on the Steam Deck? Does it feel like a nice Steam Deck game?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not super demanding. I ran it on ultra settings or some shit. I mean, it ran flawlessly. I had no issues. There is a card game. It's called Spoils. I didn't get into it, but it's there if you want to spend a little extra time. I think if I had, maybe I would have spent 8 hours or more.
Yeah.
But as it was, I didn't have any interest. I was just interested in the story and the characters. A lot of your consequences do matter, and they are really felt, and it's great because it's an indie game. So there's no, it gets frustrating because you'll play these games where there's big IP involved, and you're like, well, that character is definitely not dying. So when you play these smaller games, you really have more room to have character. It sounds horrible, but have characters killed off or have something horrible happen. It's kind of like when they did the Telltale Batman games. I love those games. And the way that they were able to change the characters and have some characters die or some live or be different, I thought that was so interesting. But anyway, I'm getting off track. Saltsea Chronicles, great game. Go check it out.
Yeah, I like games where consequences matter a lot. It changes the whole ending. There's a lot of games.
You'll like this one. Yeah, this one brought me to my fucking knees with the consequences towards the end. I was crying. I couldn't believe how attached I had gotten to the characters. Like I knew I liked them, but we lost one of our crew members because of one of the decisions I made, and I was like, I just and I'm not. This isn't a brutal game. It is a sad game at times, but there are plenty of happy moments and fun, cheery moments. So I'm not trying to make it seem like it's all depressing. But yeah, this moment, I mean, brought me to tears. The chapter about the crewmate passing away was really touching, really well done. It's just there's so much good world building here, which is kind of necessary because given the post-apocalyptic state.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. But go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say that's sounds like a great narrative experience for 6 hours, right? So
Yeah, yeah. It took me about almost 8 hours, but I think you could do it even quicker. I think 7 to 8 hours is pretty good.
yeah, but is that everything?
Yeah, that's everything I got. We can move on.
All right, so let's talk about Lost Records Tape 2. So we talked about Tape 1 in February, and then we had to wait 2 months for Tape 2. And was it worth it? We'll talk about it. First off, I want to say make the decision to separate this into 2 episodes was a mistake. I feel like this should have been one game released in February, and that's it. I don't like episodic content like that. If you're going to do episodic content, I'd rather you have it in the game already, ready to go. But I just wanted to point that out. I don't like episodic content. It was dated even in 2012. Nobody liked it back then either. And there were aspects of the game that obviously I remember it. I have a good memory, but you forget things when there's a 2 month hiatus, right? Like the little details you would have picked up on if you played it back to back, you missed that because you had to wait 2 months. But anyway, I feel like this was shorter than Tape 1, but I still
Yes, I do as well.
but it's still largely the same. It wasn't like too much shorter. Maybe an hour or less. I want to say. I feel like for Tape 1 took me 6 hours, and this one took me like 4.5, 5 hours. That sounds right. And this one was more streamlined. Like it was very story focused. Everything was like quick to what next, jumping to different scenes and environments. While Tape 1 was like, you're in the woods. There's birds everywhere. Enjoy the environment. Soak it in. Music playing. Right? It was like take pictures of everything. Like, well, not take pictures, but like record everything with your camera. Right? This game didn't really have that as much. It was mainly like everything was point A to point B. Did you feel like that as well for this one?
I don't know. I read that line from you on the notes, and I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. I do agree that it did feel, obviously, it felt shorter. I think it only took me 4 or 5 hours as opposed to the other one, which took me 6.5. So definitely shorter and more streamlined because of it. Maybe my view is just colored because of the mini games, which I'll talk about later. But I don't know. It definitely focused really heavily on the story. It kind of had to, right? I mean, that was what we were looking for. Like, what happened to Kat? What's in the box? What happened to all these characters? Like, what's going to happen at the end? So they had to really kind of like nail down that story, and they definitely did have some parts where, I was like, geez, I feel like I'm watching a music video. Like, I like it. I love the vibe of this game, as I've said before, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, there are definitely moments where it's a little bit of a drag, but it didn't bother me hugely. I was just kind of sitting on my hands like, all right, this is cool, but can we get to the characters?
That was my biggest problem with Tape 1. It was, as much as I loved the vibes, there was times where the pacing was just too slow. Like you gotta move on a little faster. This game did that better. I feel like Tape 2 did it better, in my opinion, with the pacing, but it still had that like moments where like, this is a really cool scene, I'm really into it, but like you can cut out like maybe a minute from it. Like it doesn't have to go as long as it does. Like right. when they're just chilling and like they enjoy like a beautiful moment, and there's like butterflies fly out of the I'm not gonna say it yet. Like that was a great moment, but then it sits there and like for another extra 40 seconds. Like that's something you can cut. I would feel like that's what I'm saying. But I do feel like the first tape had way more like vibe moments where like it was just her sitting in the woods or her in the woods just like recording things and nature and everything. I feel like this one was way more like story focused, where it was like we're gonna stealth, we're going to pack our stuff and then get out of there. We're going, everything was always focused on the story itself. It was not. I don't feel like the tape 2 had as much the slow moments as tape 1, but it's not a criticism. It's just a difference. I feel like, because I feel like tape 1 was the build up and tape 2 was the closure. And I think this is what this tape 2 was more than anything else. This is the closure, because this one kind of feels like It Chapter 2, with the closure with the adults versions of them. Like the adults are in tape 1, but tape 2 is largely about like the adults overcoming their emotional issues and learning to accept themselves, or or reuniting with each other, and that kind of thing. It was like that kind of all those themes. The adults were the main focus of this one, with the combination of what happened in the past. And I really liked the story overall, but I did have issues with the ending. How did you like the story overall?
I liked the story, but what I did not like was the gameplay. I'm going to talk about a few things that really fucking pissed me off.
Yeah,
so I love this game. I still think it's a great game overall. I want to be clear about that. I think this game does a lot of things right, and I really appreciated just about everything. But I did not appreciate mini games that you cannot skip, that are very annoying, that have huge ramifications, either huge ramifications for the story, or you literally can't finish the game without it. So the first example of this, right, is the packing mini game. Oh, I hated the packing mini game. Basically what Swan has to do is she has to pack all of her stuff, and you have to organize it like Tetris style, so that, not exactly Tetris style, but like in a 3D space. So you got to layer things on, right? So eventually I figured that out. But you can't skip it. She has to fit every single fucking thing in the box. She can't ask for a bigger box. She can't go to the store to get leftover cardboard. What are we... This part infuriated me, just because it didn't make any sense. Why didn't she get a bigger box? Why does she have to take every single thing? Can she not leave something at home?
Plus,
I know it's narrative conceit, but it is so aggravating.
Plus, that's not how boxes work. She could easily put it to the side. Like, she could have put some of them on the horizontal, that like in real life you could just put it on top of each other. It's really not an issue. Like that's like game logic, but you could easily stack those things on top of each other. Like, it's like, no, you can't stack that on that. Yeah, you can. Like, why can't you stack that on real life? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect in a box, right? Like, it didn't make any sense. Yeah, that was really a stupid minigame. It made no sense. Like, there was, and only that, most of it was easy to stack, except for like this one item that was like weirdly shaped, and it always screwed up my entire solution. It was like this one item that was like a corner piece, and it just always never fit in any pattern I did.
Annoying.
And that's what irritated me with that. It took me like 10 minutes, and it just ruined the pacing. Because like the beginning of the fucking...
It was the beginning. You're like in the Roman stuff. I hated it. I look, I'm not good with spatiality, so I'm not like the target audience for this kind of puzzle, but fuck this puzzle. You can't skip it.
It was just pointless.
You have to do it. The whole story depends on it, and it doesn't come into play. Nothing, like, it doesn't impact the story. If it impacted something, fine.
Yeah.
All right, the second thing I didn't like was the flashlight part, where you're supposed to get Kat's attention by the window. Yeah, now this, I'll talk about the stealth in a second. I got things to say about that too. So you flash the flashlight, and I'm like pressing the V button like crazy, and I'm like, nothing's happening. But the game doesn't tell you that you're supposed to take out your camera and then press the V button crazy. I just wish that they had been more clear about that you're supposed to use the camcorder's fucking flashlight instead of like your regular flashlight. That distinction doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But that's what they wanted you to do.
Yeah.
And then also, I forgot to put this in the notes, but later when you're trying to tell Kat yes or no, 2 flashes yes, 1 flash no, I did that, and like, number 1, she never asked for a no, but number 2, like, I tried to like do it real quick, so I did 2 times, and like, she would keep coming back and forth like with very funny on the card. I'm like, this is so annoying. Were you fine with the 1 flash yes and 2 flash no, or whatever the fuck?
I'd have an issue with that part particularly. My issue was with the beginning part when you have the flashlight on the window. on the correct window, which I did, and it wasn't registering that I did. I had to look it up, and I'm like, what am I missing? I'm like, I'm literally putting the flashlight on the correct window, and it's not working. It's not registering that I'm doing it. And it was like, it took like 10 minutes to get it to work. But after that, it worked fine. But my issue after that was the stealth part. Now, it was easy. Like, it was just like, wait for him to move, go. Wait for him to move, go. I did it on... it should have been like piece of cake, like mechanically. But the problem was, like, if you weren't like touching the grass, like the bush, like, he sees you somehow. Like, even though you're like hiding behind the bush, he sees you somehow, unless you're like literally like pushing the character into the bush. It made no sense.
It was so annoying. They don't make it clear, because in the first like bush that you're supposed to hide behind, right? It's you don't have to push forward. But on every other bush, and they don't explain this, and I had no idea that it was a 3D stealth section because it looked 2D to me, but it was a 3D stealth section, so you're supposed to go into the bushes, and like you said, it has to be perfect, because I got caught the first time I did it. But the other thing too I don't like about this is that if you mess up too many times, and I don't think Seb knows this, but maybe he does, Nora will leave, or Nora will give up on the memory. Yeah. And that pissed me off, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's such a big consequence for not being able to do this right, is Nora just leaving, or I forget, I think she either left or threatened to leave, and I kept her to stay, and then I got one more chance. And actually on the one more chance, eventually I'll calm down, I swear, but on the one more chance that I had left, he froze, he glitched, and so I couldn't get him to move, and so I just got caught. I was like, okay, I'll just try again. Now I know I have to move into it, because I watched a guide, because I needed a fucking guide, because this was so unclear to me personally. And then I had to restart the whole fucking chapter over again. Now, you can skip some cinematics, and obviously I made my choices a little faster. Still fucking annoying.
I want to say...
I did not like that either.
I wanted to say at that part, like, if you screw up, you can just hit restart checkpoint, and it takes you right there. So I felt like it was easy. That was forgiving, at least. Once I realized you have to go into the bush, I did it on the first try. But it wasn't clear at all, and it didn't make any sense. I mean, I knew Nora does leave. I knew there was a bad ending for that and all that, but I personally didn't have that issue. I did have one issue with Amber. Am I forgetting her name? Amber, right? What was the girl's name?
Dylan?
No. What was the black girl's name?
Oh, Autumn.
Autumn. It was an A word. I totally blanked her name. So Autumn, like, she has a panic attack, like, scene, right? And it was very confusing of what item to grab. Like, there was no, like, hints.
I didn't like that part either.
There was no hints
another
or anything.
Gameplay part I did not like. She got mad at me because I didn't know what was hers. I'm like, girl, how the fuck am I supposed to know? Like,
there was no.
You don't have it labeled. Like, she just says, "Oh, I left my zine here." We're a Riot Girl band. There are zines all over the fucking cabin. Like, what are you talking about?
If there was like a thing in tape 1 or something, or tape 2 where like there was build up to that, like she's telling you things and you're supposed to remember, like, that would make sense. But like, there's literally nothing to go on. At least I didn't see anything. If there was, I'm sure there's someone gonna be in the comment. Someone's gonna be like, "Well, actually, no, they didn't make anything clear. They didn't." And it's such a huge part of the game, because if you screw up with that, she also leaves. So
yes, and I screwed up with that, and then she did leave, and I tried to undo it, but it was too late. The game had already saved, and I didn't want to go back. And also I didn't know that she was going to leave later on. So by that time, it was like, fuck it, I don't care.
I did.
So I got the worst ending, by the way, everybody. Seb got the best ending. I got the worst ending. We need 2 people on here who got the middle endings. I'm aware of what I'll do.
I only got the best ending because I looked at a guide while I was in that part. It was like, something's off, and like I feel like I'm gonna screw this up if I don't look this up, because I'm like, something's
that's a good idea. You're smarter than me.
Because the first thing I did was grab the wrong toothbrush, and I was like, wait, this is gonna screw up something. I'm gonna restart the checkpoint, which I did, and it started right at the beginning of it, so it wasn't a big deal. But I look it up. I'm like, okay, so you need to do, because I was trying to get the achievements. In order to get the achievements, you had to do all these things, like Nora and Autumn and like that. So it lined up anyway. Getting the best ending lining up with the achievements. That's the main reason I looked at the guide for that one section. Not for the whole game, but just for that section. And it was a really touching scene though. Once you get past the stupid gameplay idea of like something you have to like use your psychic powers to know what her items are. The scene with Autumn was fantastic. Like it was so touching. Having the Swan comfort Autumn, and they handled panic attack really well. As somebody that has anxiety myself, like they handled that very well. I love Autumn and Swan's relationship. Like that was my love interest, and that's how it ended as well for me. And I really enjoyed like the scene where they're sitting like around and the butterflies come out, and you didn't see that part, right? Because you didn't. Yeah, because that's your reward for getting her out of her panic attack.
It's crazy though. This gets into spoilers. I'll talk about right. The Nora stuff later, but that's crazy to me.
Let's say this is a spoiler part now because I can't say what I want to say until while getting into spoilers. So now,
okay,
this is a warning to everybody. We're gonna talk about the ending.
I'm gonna time this.
Yeah,
one sec. So we're at 40. Okay.
So this is the spoiler part. I want to just warn everybody. I'm gonna talk about the ending. I'm gonna talk about character element, like moments, things that happened. So because this game is impossible to talk about because it's so narrative focused without hitting on that. Otherwise, it's gonna be a 5-minute topic. All right. So if you get Autumn out of her panic attack, Swan and Autumn sit on the edge of the pit, and Autumn decides to throw an item into the pit to make her wish as well. So she's part of the pit now too. So she throws an item into the pit. I forget what it was, but it was an important item. And then her and Swan have like their moment where like they see butterflies come out of the pit, and it was a very touching scene. It was magical. It looked really awesome. And it was a great scene. And I really enjoyed the Nora scene where you're sitting at the back of the table. You know, she's out back. You go talk to her about what happened with the sneaking part, and I love that you basically like you reform your relationship with her. Basically, if you don't have her leave you, it's like you guys kind of learn to forgive each other, I guess, in a way. Like they become best friends, like we were friends again, that kind of thing. Like, and she admits to Swan that she was flirting her the entire time, and she made it very obvious.
Yeah.
And Swan is like, my Swan was like, I picked up on it, but
mine was too.
I was more into Autumn in my playthrough. Because
I was into Nora, so it worked out really well for me.
Because ultimately, Nora was not going to be what Swan was. Nora was not going to be with Swan anyway, because eventually she moved away. And
right. I think that makes it better though, because it makes it more heartbreaking. But that's me.
Yeah. So I got the best ending. So my ending was because you got the scene where they sit on the stage and sing the song from the tape.
I've seen it on YouTube, so I know what happens.
All right. So what did you get though? Was it her by herself singing, or?
No, it's just her by herself. Yeah. It was just, it was just Swan. She just leaves and she sees the butterflies and she goes towards the woods, and it's just her without them. It's honestly, it's nice in a way. I don't feel like I really missed out on much. I mean, it's a nice emotional moment, obviously, them playing the song all together. But in general, I don't feel like I missed a ton. It's just a really quick scene between the three of them, and they hug, and then they go in their car, and then Swan just goes to the fucking woods anyway. So it's like, it doesn't really matter, but it's cool. It's a nice moment. I wish I had gotten it, but I fucked up on pretty much everything apparently. So
now I'm getting a little ahead, but in my playthrough, they get chased by the guy. I'm forgetting I'm blanking on the names today.
Corey.
He becomes like this over the top villain, which I kind of appreciate. They didn't go for the trope where like the video game is the bad guy is sympathetic. Oh, he had an abusive childhood. He's just a straight up villain, and they don't even try. He's just an abusive asshole, and they don't like. That's it. Like there's no redeeming qualities for this guy.
Yeah.
he chases them in the woods, like wearing a wolf mask, and that was pretty cool. And they like totally trash like this her dad's job, and like even for like a teenage girls, like I know everybody's rebellious and does crazy stuff. That was way over the top. Like that was a little too over the top. That was a little too like over the top. Like they'd like commit arson and like vandalize property. Like they could be like straight up arrested. Never mind chased through the woods.
Yeah.
Like, because what were they gonna do when they get home? They know it's them. Like they would just got arrested. Like they just get away with it.
Yeah.
Like
it's wild. You know, the other wild thing is if you romance Nora or if you reconnect as friends, they kiss. Did they kiss in yours?
I had the option, but I didn't do it.
Okay, so you have an option to do it. But that's wild to me that you can do it because Nora's married with kids. Like, or I thought she was.
Oh, you mean like you mean as an adult?
As an adult,
oh,
yeah,
no,
you can kiss her.
I didn't have that. I had the option where, like, in the flashback, you were able to kiss her on the couch. Maybe if you kissed her out there, it would have happened there. But yeah, she's married with kids, so I wouldn't have done that anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either. But that's crazy that you can do that. I saw it on a YouTube video, like it can happen. So I'm like, what the fuck?
I wouldn't.
That's like, that's kind of like glorifying cheating, which is weird.
So I thought that scene was over the top, but I thought the masks they were wearing were really awesome. I thought Kate looked like a badass with the crow, and like that was really cool. But it was way over the top. I like the idea of rescuing the deer was cool, but it was just way out of left field.
Yeah. Kat's never mentioned it before, so I had to like kind of recalibrate. I'm like, whose family business? What is this?
Plus,
why is this happening?
I'm not necessarily against hunting if it's legal and it's like it helps the population keep it in check. Like I'm not like free all the deer. Like it's not exactly a great thing. But I guess they're teenage girls. But whatever. But like burning the freaking statue was like just way over the top. It was just.
I did it for Kat. You did it for Kat too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she's clearly struggling and the gasoline and whatnot. So yeah.
That's
crazy.
I went all the way. I went all the way with it. I went like should have.
Oh, you broke shit.
Oh, I destroyed that place was.
I love this. Okay, so this is so funny to me because Seb is like, this is so out of line. Like I can't even believe it.
But I still embraced it.
Leans in, and then I was like, well, this is kind of weird and like narratively kind of strange. But okay,
I
sure.
broke everything.
And then I just do graffiti. I didn't break a single thing. And then they asked me to burn something at the end. I did do a bloody scene with the deer at the end. Well, not those deer, the fake deer.
Yeah.
But so that was probably the most distressing thing I did. But I mostly just did obscene graffiti because I was like, I don't want these girls to get locked away forever. So,
but I feel like they made Kat, they were building Kat to be like this, like she's gonna be like a bad guy or she's getting evil, or there was kind of like a side plot where it was like Kate is like really. She has nothing to lose.
She was unnerving.
No, she has nothing to lose.
Props to her voice actress because she was unnerving.
Well, I mean, it made total sense though because she lives in an abusive house, Christian household where she can't do anything. She's just totally trapped and judged, and she hates her parents. Her sister is dating this abusive boyfriend that's always around that works with the dad, and like. And she's dying from cancer, so like everything she's doing is totally sympathetic. Like you understand why she's acting out.
Absolutely.
And of all the people to be obsessed with the pit and get powers or whatever possessed by it would be her because she has nothing to lose.
Yeah,
and that's a person that has nothing to lose is scary because people don't do things a lot because they have family, friends, jobs, bills. But a person that has nothing in their lives is scary because like they have nothing to lose, and because you know you're gonna die. So
sure,
but they never did anything really much with it. Like in my game, Corey chases you down into the pit, and I know there's one part where like all four of you can just push him in together. But I was like, I'm not committing murder. I feel like I understand vandalizing, but like committing murder to push him in was just too much for me. So he accidentally pulls Kat into the pit with him. In my playthrough, where Kat and him fall into the pit, which I felt like that was the most canon ending, or canon part of the story, because I feel like it fit the narrative for me.
This again is very funny to me because I fucking clotheslined him into that pit. I don't even think I had a choice. I think
Yeah, I don't remember having a choice.
I went to protect Cat. I didn't attack Corey. I protected Cat. I did stab him in the cabin, but that's because he was burning everything down and literally was trying to kill us all. So
Yeah.
like I felt that was proportionate.
No.
But then the pit
Yeah,
thing, I
go
mean,
ahead.
I didn't really want to kill him,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, I don't if I remember correctly, they didn't really give me a chance. I had to do one thing or the other.
Yeah.
There is a choice where he can get sucked into the abyss.
I saw that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and so that would have been great because then no murder. I don't know. You know, I kind of like went back and forth. You know, obviously like he can't defend himself, and he was harassing them and assaulting them and set fire to things, but and like he's older than them. So like I feel so there's a power differential too, but at the same time it's like murdering him's a bit much. So I don't know. I
Just,
like
it didn't.
I don't know.
It. So my biggest. This is where the ending started going off the rails for me a bit, and where it started losing me. It was a lot of the aspects of the final act didn't line up the rest of the game, and like it felt like too over the top. Like Corey's an abusive asshole, but would he really try to commit murder and burn them all alive? Like that.
Yeah, I think that he was getting taken. I think he was getting because you look at his
Possessed?
eyes
He's
and
possessed,
his
yeah.
voice and stuff. I think he was getting
can see
possessed
that.
by the abyss as well.
Yeah, I can see that. But they never explained the pit or the abyss at all. Like that was my biggest problem. Was they didn't explain anything.
That's fair. I think they wanted to leave it mystical and magical and not explainable, which I was okay with. But I agree, it leaves some holes in the plot.
Yeah,
plot
because
holes, if you will.
I figured Corey had to be possessed or something because like him trying to commit murder was just like way over the line. And then the whole, well, first of all, when they were being chased in the woods by him on the motorcycle, I'm like, why are you guys running in a straight line? Scatter.
Yes, I had that thought too. I'm so glad that you had that thought too.
Like, why are you all running straight? Like, he can't get all of you. It's one guy on a bike in the woods. There's no way his bike can go over branches and trees, and there's so much stuff in the woods. There's not a.
It's a shame they didn't watch Return of the Jedi. They would have been able to really handle that one. Seth.
Right? Because like, I'm like, this is the most. Are they on a road? Because everything there's no obstacles in their path. Like, there would be trees you have to climb over and logs and. You'd be getting scratched and branches hitting you, and this guy is just having a clean drive through the woods on a bike. There's no way this is gonna happen. But that's how I think, though. And then like,
no, yeah, I get it.
And then like it just kind of ends. It's like, oh, first of all, they did the whole reveal. Like, here's what Swan looks like.
So the box was a non sequitur. It was just Kat's little time capsule that just had all of their memories together.
Oh, I was like, come on.
The whole time there was nothing ominous. No one needed to freak out. Nobody knew that they fucking murdered some abusive creep. No one knew that like, you know, they maybe contributed to Kat dying. No, they didn't. But like, I don't know. That was what they were intimating throughout some of the narrative.
See, that's what I think is part of where the choice system kind of hurts this game. It feels like canonically it'd be better if all four of them pushed them in, because it feels like all of them are ashamed of what happened that summer, and they're all scattered, never talk to each other again because they're so ashamed. But it feels like everything that actually happened in my playthrough wasn't their fault. It was the pit's fault. You know what I mean? So it feels like narratively it would have been better if like canonically if they pushed them in because like they were possessed or whatever. Because that fits like, cause it feels like they're ashamed of like they killed this guy, and like, but in my playthrough it was like an accident. Like, he accidentally pulled Kate in, like it. I mean, it was upsetting, but it just feels like narratively like that should have been linear instead of choice based. Sure. And the ending was just like, it was a happy ending. It was like they all stood on stage, sang a song. Although the song was like very inappropriate for the scene, for the moment. Because like the song is like swearing and stuff, and it's like supposed to be a touching moment, but they're saying like swear words, and it's about like like I can't, I don't know, I can't get emotional when the song
really wants us to go back to our Puritan roots and start wearing really long dresses
but like,
and suits.
How do you have like an emotional moment where it's like they're saying fuck like in the song and like singing it? I don't know, it kind of threw me out jarring a little bit, and but it was a nice ending in that regard, like when they hug each other in the parking lot and stuff. But then like they do like a reveal of Swan, what she looks like as an adult, and they like make it a big deal. I'm like, it just looks like Swan. and I don't, and she was like,
and, I got that fucking spoiled for myself because I looked up a playthrough and somebody fucking used a thumbnail of her as an adult, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like that was, it wasn't a huge deal, but it was annoying.
But she was kind of attractive. Like they made her like better. They made her way better looking like as an adult. Like it didn't feel like the same character.
I think I definitely think she had a big glow up. So good for her.
Yeah, she'd have a big glow up, but not only that, but like she felt more autistic in tape 1, where like in this game, like the adult, she felt like it wasn't that she was autistic. It just felt like she was just socially awkward, like in general. Like I don't know, maybe she's still autistic.
Yeah, I mean, also, I'm literally doing a project on this right now for schools, but autism tends to express itself very differently with girls. Girls and women are generally able to kind of suppress some of those things that you generally associate with autism. I wouldn't be surprised if Swan was autistic.
It would surprise me.
And just learned a lot of masking and coping and skills and stuff as she got older.
Yeah, so. but I guess that's not what they were going. I guess they were just going for more for like that she was socially awkward, like unconfident kid.
Sure.
And then as an adult, she's more confident. But
yeah,
although she's like full lesbian with them, like she's like, like I don't think they try to hide it. Like they made it like she never loved anyone after them. Like she kissed Nora or her, and then she didn't date anyone for like 20 years. I feel like that's what they said, or they hinted at that. So like they don't even hide. Like she's full lesbian, no bisexual, like full, because she's attracted to all of them. I think you can romance all 3 of them.
I mean, that's the best kind of girl friendship clique, is that you're all just secretly attracted. It's like the fucking WNBA, the just like half of them are all in love with the other half.
I thought that's what this game was. Like I thought this game was going for like a witch covenant kind of storyline. Like doesn't it feel like that like the whole time? Like they're gonna be witches and they're all in a covenant.
It definitely did feel like that in part, especially when they start levitating off the ground towards the end of the game.
They're gonna talk about that scene when they're all doing. They're all high and they're all dancing and they start floating, and I'm like, they never did anything with that though. Like there was never like a superpower, like supernatural element after that scene. Really, like it never says what it was causing, what was it like. Nothing was explained, and that's my ultimate problem with Tape 2 is nothing was explained, and it felt like sequel bait for the next game. And I'm cool with that if it's another game, like maybe they explain it more. But like, I would have rather they did a complete story and had a proper conclusion, and then an episode like part 2 could have been like exploring that. Like, okay, we've solved this, it's resolved. Well, but something has come back from our past to haunt us. Then you can do that for part 2. But this, I don't like that. Like this, you call it Tape 2. It's a conclusion to a story, and it ends on like question marks and build up to something else, and it leaves me unsatisfied ultimately. And that's how I feel about the Tape 2. Is I thought it was good, but I was disappointed with the ending. I felt like it was abrupt. I felt like there was too many questions unresolved. It like there's a scene where like I feel like Swan ends up in the pit anyway. I think everybody gets that ending, that secret.
Yes, everybody gets that. I saw all the endings, and Swan always ends up at the pit. So like I said, although I regret that I didn't get the Nora and Autumn stuff, it really wasn't a huge
It ultimately didn't matter, and that's what I was going to talk about when you talked about Saltsea Chronicles, where the choices mattered. It felt like at the end of the day, you got a totally different ending than me, where like everybody hate you and left, and I got the ending where it was very sweet and they're swearing, they're all like hugging each other but swearing on stage. And all the old people are enjoying them swearing on stage. I'm like, yeah, they would definitely be into this song, because it was kind of jarring because when they're singing the song, it was like, who's singing, and like why are they swearing, and why are these old people and totally into this 90s punk rock song with like swearing?
Well, to be fair, Pam was canonically into it the first time.
No, she was, but I'm saying
and the bartender definitely looks like a punk. So
it was just a little weird for me. But
did you get Pam and the guy together? By the way, did you like put? Yeah, that was very cute. I thought that was such a cute little side story.
They hold hands when everybody's singing.
What the fuck? Well, now I have to go back.
Yeah, did you even play this game? Did you even you didn't get any of the good choice? I got the more satisfying conclusion, and I'm more upset about the ending.
I don't know what, like, it felt like every time I was like, okay, this will be the choice that Nora or Autumn likes. Wrong. I get the doo-doo, like the little heart breaking apart. I was like, what the fuck? Every time, not every time, but more often than not, it was like I made the wrong choice. And I was like, Jesus.
That was another problem I had with both tapes, really, was that, like, I feel like the choice I picked was totally right and justified, and be like, no, do. I'm like, why is that a bad choice? I have to pick exactly what they want. Like, I don't punish me for making the right choice. Like, it was a little too much punishment.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because sometimes I did feel like I was saying the right thing and everything else. I still got punished for it.
And that's like the developers punishing you for not picking what they want you to pick, and that defeats the purpose of the choice system. But whatever. So the irony of all of this conversation is that you got a way worse ending than me, and yet I feel like I'm more negative about the ending after getting the best ending. You know, so
yes, it's funny. I do think that, you know, I liked the ending, but at the same time, I thought that it was a little ambivalent, a little too ambivalent for me. So I don't know. It was okay, but at the same time, like, there could have been more done with it. I mean, originally I was like, okay, I guess we're doing an ambivalent ending, but then you were like, well, they're sequel baiting. And I was like, oh yeah, they probably are sequel baiting. And I didn't even think about it, but they probably are. And they've even like said in a recent interview that they're looking to expand the universe. So I don't really know what else they can do, though, especially in my playthrough, because Nora and Autumn want, not like they hate. I want to be clear. They left because they just couldn't deal with the situation.
they were ashamed.
They don't really hate. Yeah, they're ashamed. They didn't hate Swan, but they just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. You still could have them come back, but yeah.
I guess you have to go with aliens or ghosts or like supernatural swans in the void, or I guess you could do something with it, but it had to be real way out there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll play it. Overall, so we can wrap it up now, so Dory can watch her WrestleMania, and I'm gonna watch it as well. I had a good time with it. I have issues with the ending, but I still had a good time. I really like this game. It's my top 10. I don't think it's gonna last in my top 10. I would give it a 7.8. It's like between a 7.5 and an 8. But I think the ending, it would have been an 8 for me, but I think the ending kind of soured it for me. But it's still like a good game. I really liked it. I like the characters, the vibes, the music, the look. I think the best way to describe this game, as Dory has said, it's vibes the game, and that's how I'll remember this game. Is this game? If I had to do a category for top five vibes, this game is top 5 for vibes, and I enjoyed my time with it. And it wasn't long enough to, like, you know, really be sour on it. It was like a nice 5-hour experience both times. So I just hope next time don't do it episodic, 2 months in Batart. Release all of it at the same time. That's all I ask for. But I will support part 2. All right, Dory, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I'm good. Great podcast.
All right, so next week we're going to talk about Clear Obscure Expedition 33. And we're not going to, obviously we're only going to have like 2 days to talk about it. But we'll talk about as much as we can, and we'll probably talk about Clear Obscure like for like 2 weeks, like two or 3 episodes, because it's probably gonna be.
Sorry about that. I got a phone call while we were trying to wrap up there. But yes, I don't really have any concluding thoughts. I agree with most of what you said. I'm like 7.5, 8 out of 10. I liked the ending, but there's some issues I have with it. But yeah, anyway, on to next week.
Yep. So you all have a good night. Happy Easter, everybody. Enjoy your Star Wars celebration and enjoy WrestleMania. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, I will be hate watching WrestleMania. So everyone enjoy and or don't enjoy WWE. Also, WWE just bought AAA, one of the biggest Mexican promotions. So that's going to be interesting. But anyway, see everybody next week. Claire Obscure finally comes out. I can shut up about it. Actually, I could talk about it more. But anyway.